Brian alluded to this a little bit and told us to ask you about it, but how strict will you be with your messaging to your players about what you want them to do and how you want them to conduct themselves when they're not at the facility with everything going on right now?
Well, I think that's the whole key. If we're going to have football play this year, it's going to take a lot of self-discipline and a lot of self-accountability, and it's not just our players. I mean, it starts with our staff. Really, anybody that comes in contact with our players, they have got to be very mindful of what they're doing outside of this building. So certainly, we're going to encourage our guys if they choose to go out in public to mask up, and just we're all in this sucker together. That's for sure.
Matt, can you hear me?
I gotcha.
Hey, it's good to be speaking with you. I hope you're well. Something else that Brian said is that, with the lack of preseason reps, that there's certain things that you might be able to do in practice to help to simulate some of that stuff. What kind of things can be done on a practice field to as best as you can simulate that, and how will that look different and be different than years past?
Yeah, I think that certainly we've got a schedule laid out as of right now, but we haven't even had all the guys come into our building. So I think everything's pretty fluid right now, but I would say this, that we are going to have to implement some more live scrimmage situations just to try to replicate those scenarios that guys encounter in the game. And then the other thing that we floated around a little bit is having a couple of those situations inside Lambeau. And that's not something that we've done in the past outside of the family night, but we will certainly have a couple practices in Lambeau.
Hi, Matt. Can you hear me?
I got you, Dave. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. My question for you is just on the hours in the day and how you can control what you focus on. I've heard before coaches talk about when they become a head coach, doing the media, talking to us and doing other things really takes time away from what they spend on football. I'm wondering how much that's affected you with the pandemic and prepping and trying to figure out meeting spaces and changing up the practice schedules you'd like. How hard is that challenge? And is it harder to prepare for this pandemic than it is to, say, scheme up for a defense?
Well, I think there's a lot of unknowns right now with the pandemic, but, we are so fortunate. We have such a great support system here it starts with Mark and Goody and Russ, but Doug Collins has been instrumental. Flea has been instrumental. Chris Gizzy, just of laying out to try to make this the safest place in Green Bay. And I think, certainly this is not, it's taken a total team effort, and feel very fortunate to be able to work with those guys, and gives me a lot of confidence moving forward.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Rob.
So how is there any way, given that you have no preseason games and you haven't seen, you didn't have any of these in-person stuff with the rookies, that a rookie quarterback, if needed, could possibly play this year?
Yeah, I think certainly it's definitely a challenge. Yesterday we had our first walkthrough with those guys. So that's something that we're going to take it day by day. And the message is certainly we have to operate with that urgency to get better every single day. But it definitely is going to be a work in progress.
Every NFL analyst, every fan. Well, Green Bay traded up to get a quarterback. So that must mean Aaron's only there another year or two. And Aaron even alluded to last week that, so maybe he's not here another 4 or 5 years. How do you handle that with the players? What do you want to say to fans about that situation?
Well, I think right now, most importantly, Aaron's our quarterback, and I see him here for a really long time. And however long that is, I don't think anybody knows. Nothing's guaranteed in this league, but I feel so lucky to be able to work with him on a daily basis. And, I don't see that changing for a really long time.
Go ahead.
Hey, Matt, thanks a lot for doing this, man. 2 questions just to follow up on something that Ryan said earlier. I'm just wondering, how different does the building look? The rookies kind of showed us pictures of their lockers with the partitions.
They shouldn't have shown that.
They were excited. You got to give it to them. They haven't been in the building all off season. So I'm wondering if you can give us kind of some glimpses into logistically what you've had to change from the last time we were in the building? And then in what ways are you going to have to change? Like, can you do 11 on 11 as much as you want in practice? Because it's not like you can put plexiglass between the offensive lineman and the defensive lineman. They're going to need their work and have to go up against each other. So what are the challenges inside the building, and then what are the challenges on the field?
Well, first off, your media room is no longer the media room. It's the offensive line room. So that was the first major change. There's been a lot of adjusting. Unfortunately, we can't use all the meeting space. Now, we are lucky that there is a lot of space in this building, and we were able to move some things around and accommodate accordingly so that we can have team meetings and whatnot. But as far as practice, I still think that that's something that we're going to work through, and we have a plan laid out. Certainly you want to, mitigate the risks for these guys when they're around each other. And it is kind of, you don't want to speak out of both sides of your mouth, because football is a close contact sport. It is what it is. And so but we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that our guys are as safe as they possibly can be.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us today. Kind of going off of that, how much of this upcoming acclimation period this week will be able to be conducted outdoors, or even continue to do certain meetings, some things virtually?
Yeah, that's, we've done a lot of virtual meetings in the off season. So we will try to conduct as many in-person meetings as possible, as long as it's safe. And to your point, we will do as many things outside that we can do. So yesterday was, like I said, we had our first walkthrough together, and calling up the team's a little bit different than it's been in the past. So because you don't want to bring everybody up, and we're used to always coming up in a tight circle and breaking down. So it was definitely a much looser.
Just wondering, with Devin Funchess opting out for the season, what's your comfort level with what you have in the receiving core right now? And are there any players who you're specifically looking at to kind of step up in his absence?
Yeah, I think that we're expecting everybody to step up, but it'll be nice. It's what's so great is these guys have a year under their belt in our scheme, and they've had a really productive off season. Although they haven't been in the building, I feel like the meetings have gone very, very well. Really excited about Jason Vrabel and Ravel Martin guiding that group. It's going to be great to get EQ back in the fold. That certainly hurt us last year. So we do have a lot of confidence in our receiving core, and they're all going to have to, take that next step for us to be as productive as we'd like to be this coming fall.
Hey, Coach, I'm just wondering if you have a set starting five along your offensive line heading into camp, or will Lane Taylor be able to compete for a starting job, seeing as he lost his job due to injury last year?
Yeah, nothing's set in stone right now. I mean, you have to roll out five guys, but there's competition all across the board. I think the key for us is to find the best five that fit together. And, we're fortunate that we have a lot of guys competing for those five spots, and we feel good about that position.
Hey, Doherty, go ahead.
Hey, Matt, I was wondering, do you have any extra procedures in place to isolate your quarterbacks, even from each other? Anything extra with Rodgers in that regard? And is there any talk of having a quarantine backup, a guy who just basically isn't around the team at all but attends meetings and all that and is ready to go in case of an emergency?
Yeah, we've floated around that idea a little bit. Have not made a decision on that at this point, but that's certainly, something that's not out of the realm of possibility.
You're next.
Hey, Matt. Are the rookies about where they? I know you don't. It's hard to say, but are they about where they should be, at least compared to last year, or is all this other stuff put them relatively far behind? You're just going to be kind of in catch-up mode here for the next who knows how long?
Yeah, I've had very limited exposure with these guys out on the field. Like I said, we had one walkthrough. There's certainly some things that they have no idea what they're getting into, just like how we practice, the pace of what those walkthroughs look like. So, we're going into the archives. We're showing film from last year. We're going to show them the tape from yesterday to try to teach them. And we need them to make the corrections at a really fast pace. But I think, yeah, absolutely. I think all around the league, every rookie is going to be a little bit behind because they haven't been in the building. They don't know what it's like. But it's just how fast can we get them up to speed with how we do things around here.
Lance Gunley, go ahead.
Matt, good to see you're okay and well and healthy.
Thank you.
It's going to be a different training camp, and kind of to follow up on Bill's question, just as the team in general, not just the rookies, but you've had to alter your approach compared to where you are in a normal full off season. How comfortable are you with where you're
I think, again, it's just a wait and see approach. I mean, we haven't even had our vets in here. I think every coach, if you asked every coach in the league, I'm sure nobody feels comfortable right now, but we're going to do everything in our power to get up to speed as fast as possible. But it's kind of a wait and see.
Yes, Hodquist, go ahead.
Hey, Matt, one follow-up just to what Aaron was asking. Just having Lane back, what kind of insurance policy value does that present for you guys, just having a guy of his experience in that competition, given everything you guys are dealing with this offseason?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Lane started off the season last year for us. I thought he did some really nice things, and he's an athletic, experienced player, and there's no substitute for that, specifically with the circumstances that we're given this year.
Bailey, WBAY, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you talked about how protocols have changed and even the building has changed, but I'm curious, how different does the day-to-day routine feel for you with all that has changed?
Well, just the whole layout of training camp is it's unprecedented. We've never gone to this approach before, but again, we're trying to make the best decisions possible for our football team and we just got to be fluid. And that's the one message that we've consistently said to our coaches, our support staff, our players, is that we're evaluating everything as we go. And if something doesn't feel right or it doesn't fit for us, we will make the necessary changes to make it more productive. And, but right now we're trying to get that process down.
When you look back at what you guys did virtually in the spring, how did you evaluate your quarterbacks in the sense of, last year when you talked about this offense, reading with your feet, the progressions, did you ask them did you video them? Did they video themselves and then send it to you and Luke and Nathaniel? Like, how did that part of quarterback coaching and development work? Like, how did you review them? How did you coach them up? I'm just sort of curious on the virtual level, how you guys manage that going into this now.
Yeah, no, that was not taking place. I can tell you that.
Okay.
What was taking place was a lot of quizzing and just making sure that they could articulate it the right way. And then it was on the individual player and to go out there and work their feet and to throw and to get those meaningful reps. But certainly showed a lot of video of guys doing it the right way, of Aaron doing it the right way. And that's why I'm so excited to get these guys back in the building, because now we can get our hands on them and give instant feedback when we do get out on the grass.
Hi, Coach. I just wanted to know, you've mentioned you haven't seen a lot of those players. You're just getting them back in the building. But mentally, how have you seen them prepare for a season, as you said, is completely unprecedented?
Are you talking about the younger guys?
All of them in general.
Yeah, like we haven't even seen our veterans yet. Now we've had a few virtual meetings, but I think our veterans have understand what the expectations are. So we've spent much more time over the course of this last few days of really investing in those younger guys, just to try to get them up to speed, because, you know, we're going to have everybody back tomorrow. And then, and we, like I said, we just got to get them up to the level, to the standard, and get them to understand how we go about our business.